Did you know that every crow on earth used to be snow white and could sing sweeter than a nightingale? It is true, but one beautiful, talking bird made a fatal mistake. It told a jealous god a devastating secret and paid the ultimate terrifying price. So picture a little village called Baba Pandown, nestled right along the muddy Canterbury Way, just in the shadow of the Blee Forest. That is exactly where our host, riding at the head of our colorful little pilgrimage, decided it was time to stir up some trouble. He glanced back over his shoulder and called out, "Sirs, what in the world is going on back there? The donkey is stuck in the mud. Is there not a single man here for love or money who will wake up our friend trailing in the rear? A thief could pluck him off his saddle and tie him up in a ditch right now. Just look at him nodding off. I swear on God's bones he looks like he is going to tumble right into the dirt." The host squinted through the dust. "Wait, is that the cook from London? What rotten luck, make him come up to the front, he knows his penance. He has to tell us a tale, even if it is not worth a handful of dry hay." "Wake up, cook," the host shouted. "God give you sorrow, man, what is wrong with you, sleeping in the middle of broad daylight? Did the fleas keep you up all night? Are you absolutely drunk? Or were you up till dawn wrestling with some tavern wench, and now you cannot even keep your chin off your chest?" The cook, let me tell you, looked absolutely terrible. He was the color of old porridge, completely pale without a single drop of red in his face. He blinked heavy, bleary eyes at the host and mumbled, "May God bless my soul, but this heavy, drowning feeling has just dropped right over me. I do not know why, but honestly right now I would rather take a nap than drink the best gallon of wine in the entire city." Well, this was the perfect opening for the Manciple. He rode up, looking a little too pleased with himself, and said, "Sir Cook, if it brings you some comfort, and if no one else in this fine company minds, and of course, if our host allows it out of his usual courtesy, I will gladly excuse you from your tale for now. Because in good faith your face is completely pale. Your eyes are totally glazed over, and quite frankly your breath smells incredibly sour. It shows you are just not in a good way. I am certainly not going to flatter you. Just look at how he yawns, everyone. This drunkard looks like he wants to unhinge his jaw and swallow us whole. Keep your mouth closed, man, by your father's kin. The devil of hell ought to plant his foot right in there. Your cursed breath is going to infect the lot of us. Fie, you stinking swine, foul things are coming for you." The Manciple turned to the rest of us with a wry grin. "Take heed, sirs, of this lusty, lively fellow. Tell me, sweet sir, do you want to go joust at the weather vane? You look in spectacular shape for it. I think you have been drinking the wine of the ape. You know the kind, when a man gets so roaring drunk he just sits there playing with a piece of straw." Well, as you might guess, the cook got absolutely furious at this charming little speech. He was boiling with wrath. He started nodding his head aggressively at the Manciple, completely speechless with rage. And he nodded so violently, with such unchecked momentum, that he threw his own heavy self right down off his horse with a loud thud. He just lay there in the road dust until a handful of men scrambled to peel him off the ground. This turned into quite the cavalry expedition for a cook. Alas, the man really should have just stuck to his ladle. Getting him back into the saddle was no easy task, I assure you. There was a great deal of shoving back and forth, grunting, and immense woe just to hoist him up. This pale, silly ghost of a man was completely, hopelessly unwieldy. Our host watched this spectacle, shaking his head, and turned to the Manciple. "Drink has complete domination over this man," he said. "I swear on my salvation, if he tried to tell a tale right now, it would be an absolute disaster. Whether it was wine or fresh ale he swallowed, he is speaking right through his nose, sneezing constantly, and he clearly has a terrible cold. He has more than enough work just keeping his rear end on that horse and out of the mud. If he falls off again, we will all have our hands full lifting his heavy, drunken bulk. So tell your tale, Manciple, I am not worrying about him." The host leaned in closer, his tone dropping. But honestly, Manciple, you are being a bit foolish to openly insult him like this. Another day, he might just get his revenge. He might bring you back to the lure like a hawk. I mean, he might start picking little flaws in your accounting, claiming your ledgers were not exactly honest. And if it came to a test, you would have to prove it. The Manciple paled a fraction. Now that, he said, would be a great mischief. He could easily catch me in a trap like that. I would rather pay for the mare he is riding on than end up in a real fight with him. I will not make him angry, so help me. What I said, I only said as a joke. And you know what? I have a gourd right here in my saddlebag. It has a magnificent draught of wine in it, made from the ripest grapes. And right now, you are going to see a really good trick. I am going to see if I can get this cook to drink from it. On my life, he will not say no. And certainly, to tell it exactly as it happened, the cook took the gourd and drank deeply from the vessel. Honestly, why did he need it? He had already drunk a small tavern dry. After letting out a loud, thunderous belch right into his cup, he handed the gourd back to the Manciple. Suddenly, he was wonderfully happy about that drink. And he thanked the Manciple the absolute best way his muddled brain could manage. Our host threw his head back and started laughing wonderfully loud. I see now, he chuckled, that it is absolutely necessary to carry good drink with us wherever we go. It can turn trouble and annoyance right into peace and love. It appeases so many wrongs. O Bacchus, Bacchus, blessed be your name. You can turn serious anger right into a fun game, worship and thanks to your deity. But you will get no more from me on that matter. Tell your tale, Manciple, I pray you. The Manciple straightened up, cleared his throat and said, well, sir, now listen to what I say. When the sun god Phoebus lived down here on earth, as the old dusty books tell us, he was the most pleasant, lively bachelor in the entire world. He was the absolute best archer, too. He was the one who shot and killed the great, terrifying serpent Python as it lay sunbathing one day. He did many other noble, worthy deeds with his bow, which you can read all about if you have the time. He could also play every musical instrument perfectly. And when he sang, the sound of his clear voice was pure, liquid melody. Truly, the king of Thebes, Amphion, the man who supposedly built the city walls just with the magic of his singing, could never sing half as well as Phoebus. On top of that, he was the most handsome man that is, or ever was, since the world began. What is the point of describing his features? There was simply no one alive as fair as him. He was completely full of gentleness, honor, and perfect worthiness. Because he was the flower of chivalry and generosity, and as a sign of his great victory over Python, he always carried a bow in his hand. Now, Phoebus had a crow in his house. He kept it in a beautifully crafted cage and fostered it for many days, teaching it to speak just like a man would teach a jaybird. But this crow was completely white, white as a snow-white swan. It could counterfeit the speech of any man when it wanted to tell a tale. And no nightingale in the whole wide world could sing even 100,000th part as wonderfully and merrily as this extraordinary bird. Phoebus also had a wife, and he loved her much more than his own life. Night and day, he worked constantly to please her and show her reverence. But if I am going to tell you the truth of the matter, the golden god was extremely jealous. He wanted to keep her closely guarded. He absolutely hated the idea of being tricked or deceived. Really, what man does not feel that way? But it is all for nothing. Guarding a wife is totally useless. A good wife who is clean in her work and thoughts should not be kept under observation. It is an insult. And trying to keep a bad, ill-disposed woman guarded. Just wasted labor. It simply will not work. I think it is utter foolishness to waste your effort trying to lock up wives. The old clerks wrote volumes about this. But back to the purpose of my story, this worthy Phoebus did everything he could to please her. He thought that through his pleasing manners, his sheer manhood, and his impeccable behavior, no man could ever take her from his grace. But God knows no man can constrain a thing that nature has naturally planted inside a creature. Take any bird, put it in a cage, do everything your heart prompts you to do to foster it tenderly. Give it meat and drink, the absolute best, sweetest dainties you can think of. Keep it as clean as you possibly can. Even if that cage is made of solid, gleaming gold and looks incredibly beautiful, that bird would 20,000 times rather go live in a cold, wild forest and eat worms and wretched food. That bird will always do everything in its power to escape that cage. A bird simply desires its liberty. Or take a cat, foster her with warm milk and tender meat. Give her a plush bed made of fine silk, but let her see a little mouse scurry along the wall and she instantly forsakes the milk, the meat, and every dainty in that house. Her appetite to eat that mouse is just too strong. You see, nature has complete domination here. Appetite effortlessly drives out discretion. A she-wolf has a villainous nature too. When she desires a mate, she will bypass the proudest of the pack and take the lowest, most ignorant wolf she can find. The one with the absolute worst reputation. Now, I am speaking these examples with reference to men who are untrue, not to women. Oh no, never women, because men always have a wandering appetite. They want to perform their delight on lower things, rather than on their wives. Even if their wives are incredibly fair, true, and gentle. Flesh is just so drawn to new things, bad luck to it. We simply cannot find pleasure in virtuous things for very long. So poor Phoebus, who never even thought about deception, was tricked despite all his golden, pleasant ways. His wife had another man on the side, a guy of remarkably little reputation. He was worth absolutely nothing compared to Phoebus. That is the worst part of it, but it happens so often and it brings so much harm and woe. It happened that when Phoebus was away, his wife immediately sent for her secret lover. Her lover, honestly, that is a knavish, rough word to use. Forgive me for it, I beg you. The wise Plato says that the word must always accord with the deed. If you are going to tell a thing properly, the word has to be a cousin to the action. I am a downright rough-spoken man, so I will just say it. There is truly no difference between a high-society wife who is unfaithful and a poor wench doing the exact same thing. But because the gentlewoman has high status, she is called his lady and his love. And because the other is just a poor woman, she is called his wench and his lover. But God knows, my dear brother, men lay the one down just as low as the other. It is the exact same thing with a tyrant who usurps a throne and a wandering thief. The exact same, there is no difference. Alexander the Great was told this very thing. Because a tyrant has the power and the followers to slay people outright, burn down houses and homes, and level everything to the bleeding ground, he is called a captain. But because the outlaw only has a small group and cannot do as much harm or ruin a whole country, men just call him an outlaw or a thief. But I am not a learned scholar. I am not going to talk about ancient texts. I will get back to my tale. When Phoebus's wife sent for her lover, they immediately pursued their rash pleasures. And this beautiful white crow, hanging right there in its golden cage, watched the whole thing. It did not say a single word. But when Phoebus the Lord came back home, the crow ruffled its pristine feathers and started singing. Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Phoebus looked up at the bird. What song are you singing now? You always used to sing so merrily. It used to make my heart rejoice just to hear your clear voice. Alas, what is this new song? By God, the crow said, perfectly mimicking human speech, I am not singing amiss. Phoebus, despite all your worthiness, your beauty, and your gentleness, despite all your sweet songs and all your minstrelsy, despite all your watching, you have been played for an absolute fool. Your eye is bleared. A man of little reputation, a guy not even worth a gnat compared to you, was just here. I saw him with your wife on your bed. What more do you want? The crow told him everything. Using grave tokens and bold words, he explained exactly how his wife had committed lechery to his great shame and villainy. The bird told him over and over, "I saw it with my own eyes." Phoebus turned his pale face away. He felt like his woeful heart was bursting right in two. He silently bent his bow, set a sharp arrow in it, and in his pure, reckless, blinding rage, he killed his wife. That is the result, there is nothing more to say about it. But the moment it was done, the sorrow of his action absolutely overwhelmed him. In an agony of regret, he broke all his beautiful musical instruments. He smashed the harp, the lute, the guitar, the psaltery. He snapped his bow in half and broke all his arrows. And then he turned his furious, tear-filled eyes to the crow. "You traitor," he hissed, "with your scorpion tongue you have brought me to total ruin. Alas, why was I ever made, why am I not dead, O dear wife? You gem of pleasantness, you were so steadfast and so true to me. Now you lie there dead, with a pale face, completely guiltless. I would swear it, O my rash, hasty hand, to do such a foul wrong. O troubled mind, O reckless anger, striking down the innocent without a single thought. O full of false distrust, where was your mind and your discretion? Let every man beware of rashness, do not believe anything without strong witness. Do not strike too soon, before you actually know why. Consider it well and surely before you take any action based on angry suspicion. Alas, 1,000 people have been ruined by rash anger and brought right into the mud. For sorrow I am going to slay myself." Then he glared at the crow. "You false thief," he said, his voice trembling with a new, dark anger. "I will pay you back right now for your false tale. You used to sing like a nightingale, now you false thief, you will lose your song. You will lose every single one of your beautiful white feathers. You will never speak again in all your life. This is how men take revenge on a traitor. You and all your offspring will be black forever. You will never make a sweet noise again. You will only cry out in rough, harsh warning before tempests and rain, as a sign that my wife was slain because of you." And he sprang at the cage. He pulled out every single white feather from the screaming bird. He turned him completely pitch black. He stripped away his sweet song and his human speech. And then he flung him right out the door to the devil. And that, my friends, is exactly why all crows are black. So, my lords, I pray you to take a little example from this. Beware and take heed of what you say. Never tell a man in your entire life that another man has been with his wife. He will hate you mortally for it, that is absolutely certain. Wise clerks say that King Solomon teaches a man to keep his tongue well. But like I said, I am no scholar, still my own mother taught me this. She would sit me down and say, "My son, think on the crow, in God's name. My son, guard your tongue well, and you will keep your friends. A wicked tongue is worse than a fiend. You can cross yourself to defend against a fiend, but what can you do against a rumor? My son, God in his endless goodness put a wall of teeth and lips around the tongue for a very good reason. Because a man should really, truly consider what he is going to speak. My son, clerks teach that many men have been completely destroyed by talking too much. But generally speaking, no man is ever ruined by speaking a little bit and carefully. You should restrain your tongue at all times, except when you are doing your absolute best to speak of God in honor and prayer. The very first virtue you can possibly learn is to hold your tongue. That is what children are taught when they are young. My son, so much harm comes from talking too much without thinking, when less talking would have been plenty. There is never a lack of sin in an avalanche of speech. Do you know what a hasty tongue does? Just like a sharp sword cuts an arm right in two, my dear son, a loose tongue cuts friendship completely in two. A man who prattles on is abominable to God. Read Solomon, read David in his Psalms, read Seneca. My son, do not speak, just nod your head. Act like you are completely deaf if you hear a gossip talking about dangerous matters. The Fleming has a wonderful saying, and you should learn it if it pleases you. Little talking causes much peace. My son, if you have not said a wicked word, you have absolutely no need to fear being betrayed by it. But the man who misspeaks, well, I dare say he can never call his words back. A thing that is said, and out into the world it goes. Even if he bitterly regrets it, he is completely a slave to the person he told the tale to. He will deeply regret it. My son, beware, do not be the one spreading new tidings whether they are false or true. Wherever you go, among the high or the low, keep your tongue well and always think upon the crow. Thank you for listening to this story. Narrated with Aura Reader.